What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Says. I am your host, as always, and tonight I've got, did I say my name? Garrett Williams is my name, in case I didn't. As soon as I was just so excited to talk about my friends here on screen that I just forgot to say my name. My name's Garrett Williams. I am your host, as always, and I've got two of my usual co-hosts with me tonight. No Arrowhead Tom, but we've got Mr. Kyle Henning. Kyle, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well, doing well. Just working. Just got done with getting back from a trip to watch a relative get married. So didn't. There was not. Luckily, there was not a ton of crazy football news this weekend. So there was some stuff, but it wasn't like middle of last week when it was hot and heavy and everything was moving quick. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got plenty to talk about for you tonight, and looking forward to talking to you gentlemen as always. So, how are you doing this evening, Garrett?
Oh, I'm doing very good, Kyle. Thanks for asking. Also, join us, Randy Ellenberger. How you doing tonight, Randy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Always a pleasure to jump on with you fellas and chat a little ball. Free agency is winding down with a couple little interesting sprinkles here and there. Adding a few guys to the roster, so I'm sure we'll hit that up. But getting closer and closer to mine and Tom's favorite, basically Christmas Day for us, and we're getting closer to the draft. So all that fun stuff's getting a little more exciting.
Yeah, it's coming up real quick. The draft is almost a month away, I guess. It's a month and a couple of days away, so it's really coming up. There's been a lot of pro days already going on and whatnot. I'll continue on through the next couple weeks as free agency kind of settles out, which it's settling out a little bit. We're going to talk about a couple acquisitions that the Chiefs have made since the last time we talked with you guys, but there's not many. Chiefs have not really been super active so far in free agency. Obviously, there's a couple big hitters like Kenneth Walker and some of those guys at the start, which exciting, very exciting. So now there's a couple other ones. There's a couple other ones we're going to hit on. And then we'll kind of evaluate how the roster's looking, get some idea of what we might be using those draft picks on, some strategies with the different high draft picks that we have. We have a lot of draft picks, 3 or 4 in the top 75, which is exciting. We have a lot of capital this year that we can really refill the cabinet because it's pretty bare in some spots. And obviously with all the departing free agents we've talked about the past couple episodes, it's need some new difference makers to step up. So, first and foremost, let's talk about a couple of the Wave 2 free agent signings for the Chiefs essentially so far, which has not been many. One of them being former Cardinals running back Emari Demercado, he's been with the Cardinals for 3-4 years now. I believe he's an undrafted free agent who had kind of fought his way onto the roster spot. Initial impressions, he's got a lot of juice. It seems like he's got a lot of juice. He's not had a huge workload in his career, but he's been a good change of pace guy for the Cardinals for the past couple years. Seems like he's really good in pass protection, which is a huge benefit. Kind of a little bit Jerick McKinnon-like in that sense. And he's got really big explosive play ability. So, Kyle, what do you think about the signing of Emari Demercado?
Well, third year in the league, I think, if I'm reading this correctly here. Yeah, because he was on that TCU team. Okay, so he can pass block, which is, I assume, the role they kind of envision him having would be that third down when you need it. If you don't want to have Kenneth in there literally every snap, which I don't think you do, and you want some more experience than just Brashard Smith, he's shown to be able to be productive in small sample sizes, but I think the most impressive thing is his pass blocking. He also has explosiveness as far as once he gets the ball in his hands, if he will just remember to carry it all the way into the end zone when he runs away from everybody. Because he has not one clip like that, ladies and gentlemen, but 2. That I do believe is the one that was the sideline altercation clip with Jonathan Gannon, I do believe. When that little snafu kerfuffle went viral, they got into it on the sideline after he dropped the ball at like the half-yard line, turned it over.
Hmm.
So I don't imagine he wants to repeat anything like that in Kansas City, especially because I think Eric Bieniemy might have a nuclear meltdown if he does.
Hmm.
And DeMarco Murray is a very large human being also, and is a running back coach there now. So I don't know that I would do that. But if he can hold on to the ball, he has a chance to be productive. He has a chance to be probably one of the better receiving back options, third down back type players that they've had since Jerick McKinnon, because they haven't really had anybody. Frankly, no offense to some of those other guys, but it's not been the same since the Jet left. So
Yeah, the Jet was goated at that, but
I think he has. I think he's their best option to have somebody kind of be in that role. He has the skill set to do it. That's why, and that's the only thing I think you're bringing him in for, because you just paid Kenneth Walker 28 and something guaranteed over the next 3 years. So that's kind of what we're going with.
yeah, need to fill
And I
out the
guess
running
in a
back room,
pinch,
so.
if something happens to Kenneth, you can use him to kind of head your committee at that point.
I mean, either way, you need more bodies in the running back room, Randy. Right? I mean, there's and before free agency, we had just Brashard Smith. That was it.
Yeah, it's you know, it's one of those kind of sneaky, quiet pickups. You know, he's been in the league, you know, for 3 years now. Um, he's got the two idiot plays, but taking those two, you know, idiot plays away, like he does show some ability in the small sample size. Like, you know, through his 3 year career, like he averages 6.5 yards a carry. So like when he gets an opportunity and you give him a shot, like he can do some things with it. Now, you know, he's never had more than 58 carries in a season. He catches the ball decently out of the backfield. You know, he's got, you know, 20, 16, 13 catches in each season, but his pass blocking is a key point. But I mean, he's just going to be a backup. He's going to be, you know, a 5 to 6 touches a game potentially. But I don't think it's going to stop us from bringing in either another late free agent camp body or drafting somebody late. I think this does prevent us, or I mean, at least shows us that we're probably not going to draft a running back within those probably first 4 to 5 rounds. Would be my guess, unless something crazy happens. So I think my dream of seeing Emmett Johnson in the 4th round, 3rd round, or whatever is probably dead and gone. But you know, that is what it is. But you know, it's a decent little signing. He's a serviceable backup running back that has shown some ability when he has the opportunity to. So you know, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle here with the Bieniemy and you know, Murray being a new running back coach. Maybe they can get the absolute most out of him, and maybe he turns into something a little bit more. You just never know. But good little quiet signing though.
Yeah, you know, I don't mind it. You know, he has definitely had his fair share of exciting moments and big highlight reels and stuff. I mean, I think he still had more career carries over like 20 some yards than our whole running back room combined did last year. So, you know, you can get him in space. He's got some wheels to him, which is nice. He also has a little bit of returning experience too. So if you need him in that pinch, you can do something like that. I'm sure he offers some special teams value and stuff, but you know, obviously, ideally, you probably want him to be like your running back 3. You know, hope that Brashard Smith kind of evolves into that second back, and you know, still definitely leaves the room. Obviously, you're going to still need a little bit more. They might bring back Kareem still. I don't know if that's a foregone conclusion that they're not bringing him back. He's still, I mean, he's a good short yardage back if you need him. So, but you know, leaves the door open for the draft to definitely still add a guy on day 3 sometime, and you can never have too many running backs with the way that injuries and whatnot affect that position. So
Yeah.
hopefully we don't have to worry about that as much with Kenneth Walker and taking the reins. But a little spell to him sometimes, change of pace guy. Welcome to the team, Demercado. So another signing that the Chiefs made is on the other side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. A former Dolphins cornerback, Kader Kohou, who is, I don't know how many years he's been in the league. I don't have his thing pulled up right now, but missed all of last season due to a knee injury, I believe, that happened, I believe in preseason or training camp that took him out the whole year. Before that, decent slot defender. Decent little slot defender. I know I always recognized him because on Madden, it seemed like he was always available and he was always like a 75 overall slot guy. And I was like, yeah, I'll sign him, as a little slot option. Sneaky athlete guy. I think he had a pretty good athletic profile coming out. Randy, what do you think of Kohou?
Yeah, it's this is another one of those kind of sneaky ones. He's got 3 seasons under his belt, so he's been in the league for 4 years now with the injury last year. But yeah, like he has shown some ability to play some really good football. So I think this is going to go down potentially as one of those like super sneaky things that Veach has done that I think really could pan out pretty well. Like this if he's going to be able to come back from that knee and he's ready to go, like this could be our answer to losing McDuffie in the slot. Like I know we had talked, pre-show or something recently to where we really need to draft that guy probably early second, third round. We've thrown names around like Keontae Scott or D'Angelo Pons, to kind of to shore up that slot defender. But I mean, if his knee's good to go, like this kid can lock that down. Like he's a legit kid. So it's one of those things. Like when that signing first came up, I was like, oh shit, I kind of forgot all about that guy because he didn't play last year.
Yeah.
But after the name rung the bell, and you're like, wait a minute, this kid showed some flashes. Like he can be productive. So this could be a really good sneaky pick from Veach picking him up. So
Kyle, do you know where Kohou played college football at?
Not a clue. I do know he was an undrafted free agent, though.
It was
coming out.
Texas A&M
Oh,
Commerce.
yeah.
Shout out Texas A&M Commerce, their basketball team. Mostly.
yes. That is
also
very
another
inside, deep in the weeds.
Yeah, that's another reason why.
Gotcha.
As I saw that, that's another reason why I remembered him, because I always would see that in Madden and be like, "Hey, Texas A&M Commerce guy, that's kind of cool." So yeah, that's just for me and Kyle basically. Yeah, but what do you think about old Kohou?
Honestly, he was a UDFA coming out of college, obviously, because Garrett just told you guys he played at a university. I'm gonna bet the majority of you didn't know existed, and also I believe it's changed names now.
It is now actually Eastern Texas.
It's now A&M. Eastern Texas A&M University.
Wow.
Yep.
I got some merch from him.
Yeah. So you have some throwback old school merch because they're now a new thing. It's a whole deal.
I have it.
Anyway, I know.
It's the Eastern Texas A&M Lions.
Yeah, they used to be the Texas A&M Commerce Lions, literally like 2 years ago or less, I do believe. And I believe it was still the Lions at the time. I can't remember off the top of my head. He has some merch from it. Anyway, sidetrack of the century there, but
shout out.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah. See, they were still Lions. I told you.
I have a jersey too.
So obviously didn't know much about him coming out of college because he was kind of under the radar. Lands as a UDFA. As Garrett said, there's a reason he was always a 75 and pretty much always available. He was pretty good for the Dolphins. He, like Randy, you mentioned though, being out all of last year, obviously brings the value down. The Dolphins are literally burning the boats on the way out. So because I don't know if anybody's looked, but the Dolphins now have, I believe it's over $175 million in dead money on their salary cap this year,
Yeah,
which
pretty bad. It's
is
pretty bad. Hey,
Wow.
full rebuild mode
I
for him.
know I know everybody talks about tanking in other sports, but boys, this may be one of the most epic, and it's crazy because they paid a coach and a new coach and a new quarterback to come here and drive this burning shopping cart that they are rolling through the streets of my.
Like, and they're
I
not even trying to hide it. Like, they're not even trying to like pretend.
no. Hey, we
This
really
is a
shouldn't have paid the guy that everybody on planet Earth knew we shouldn't have paid.
yeah.
What, 50, $60 million? Like,
This is a full
Yeah.
rebuild. Like, yeah, you handed that kid a whole lot of money because he started what 6 games and looked okay in
Hey,
Green Bay
respect to them
last
for at
year.
least tearing down shop and just, they're like, all right, well, take
Man,
everything down. We're just gonna full rebuild. At
yeah,
least
this,
we're
that's
just,
the way
this is
to
a
do it.
we're way
full-fledged fire
for
sale
years.
rebuild, and
Yeah.
yeah, we ain't hiding shit. Like,
Man, I tell you, if we didn't have Kenneth Walker, I would have loved to float a late pick for Achan, Devon Achan. That would have been nice. But we got Kenneth.
Oh
We got
no,
K9. We don't need
they
him.
would have tried to golden goose that dude. And
hmm,
also, he's fast and he's fun, but I
He's
don't
pretty
know
good.
how long he lasts with that Dolphins offensive line,
yeah,
guys. I don't
Well,
know.
that is true, but he is pretty good. We got K9 though. He's better. He's better anyways. So that's about it on Kader Kohou, I guess. I don't know if you had. That was kind of
He can really play
yeah.
the slot.
Physical
That's
guy, real
he
physical
can play
too.
the slot. He can
Definitely
tackle.
Spagsy.
Yeah, this feels more like the ability to play somebody that's not Shamari Connor in the slot,
We can
please.
only
please.
hope. We can only hope.
Um, because he does do a lot of the things that Trent was all world at pretty well. Again, you're not going to replace McDuffie. That's just not how this works. Um, but you do want to try to find guys that do skill set things that can help fill some of that void.
Right.
Kohou is one, and he's also, let me check, extremely freaking cheap because, again, he did
Yeah,
not play at all last year. I
yeah. He's not like we're
assume
basically a vet now. Yeah,
he's been medically examined by Mr. Burkholder and the performance staff for the Chiefs. If they say we're good to go, we're good to go. I'm not worried about it. They, again, if we need to remind ourselves of what they've been able to do over the years, L'Jarius Sneed played 12 games for the Tennessee Titans. He played 13 playoff games for the Chiefs. Um, I just saying.
I was just saying,
Uh,
that's good numbers right there.
and there's widely reported conversation about what L'Jarius's knee was like that last year in Kansas City and how they managed to hold that all together and help
Right.
him through that whole season. So, yeah,
Bubble gum and
if
duct tape.
Cater is ready to go, I think he's a candidate to really make this roster because remember when they traded for Charvarius Ward in like training camp for which lineman whose name I can't remember was it? Um,
Parker Anger.
Yeah,
Parker
it is.
Anger, is that? Yeah, that I wanted to say that, but I didn't want to be wrong, and then like
I always
you know.
remember that because that was just the heist of a century. Pulled off a trade with a backup lineman who wasn't even going to make the team, and you get a starting corner. Heist of a century. I mean, can't make it that better.
So, but Sharv obviously was more outside, but I think you could get similar kind of value with him in the slot, and with Dave Merritt and Spagnolo, adding talent to the room is not a bad idea.
His next free agent signing that was not, I guess, the free agent signing, but another signing we'll touch on real quick. Mike Caliendo's back. Kyle, your favorite lineman is back. How do you feel?
I guess we'll see you in St. Joe and see you later after the cuts, because
Hopefully.
otherwise, so if that's not the case, something went wrong. Nothing against Mike. He's tried really hard and done some things for this team in a pinch, but and it's nothing against the person. It's just We've got to improve the depth behind the interior of this offensive line. And it's just a natural progression that you've got to churn some of more of this roster, and I don't know what else to say about it at this point. I mean, it's a vet min deal, so
Yeah.
and that's fine, I guess. But I don't envision him on the roster after the preseason.
We can only hope, right, Randy? We can only hope. I mean, we have Hunter Norzad, C.J. Hansen. What is the point of those guys? Probably
Yeah.
add more depth in the draft,
Yeah, it's one of those deals where, like, you didn't sign him to the free agent or the his RFA or whatever because
You're not worth $2.5 million, but you're worth
exactly.
one
So
point
they let him test the market.
eight.
It sounded like he may have had a little bit of interest from some other teams, but decided to come back to us on the cheap, which is fine. Because essentially, yeah, he's going to be a camp body. Um, he did play better last year than he did the previous year, but that's not hard to do because the previous year was really, really bad. Like
When
I,
the,
I
when
probably,
the
I
bar
probably,
is in
could,
hell.
I probably could have
When
put
the
the pads
bar
on
is in
and
hell.
put up a better fight than him at sometimes. But
Yeah.
he's, like Kyle said, nice guy, good
Nice guy.
teammate, just not a real good football player. So if we're counting on Mike Caliendo to come in and play meaningful snaps at any point in the season, like that's not a good scenario for us to be in. So he's gonna,
Pat, run.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like we're hoping to see a little bit of progression and improvement from Norzad and CJ Hansen, and hopefully those two guys can show up this year and kind of push Mike out the door. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're not hoping for Mike to light the world on fire. But hey, if he comes in and he improves and he plays well, more power to him. But he's a camp body and he's some backup depth at best at this point. So
Yeah, that's the hope, obviously. And he was still, your backup lineman essentially last year when there was different openings in some of those spots. So they still didn't have the full trust in Norzad or Hansen to be that guy, I suppose. And like I said, he played a little bit better last year. The hope is though you can upgrade the swing guard interior lineman position somehow from that. I mean, if anything, hopefully Norzad takes another step. Hopefully they add another guy day 3 sometime maybe that they feel more confident in. But if anything, his camp body knows the offense, and yeah, well, welcome to another summer of St. Joe. Sign up for that. It's kind of there's that is a feat in itself. Got to commend him at least for that. So,
I I do want to say this, Randy. I did see the whole. Well, he had some interest for some other places, but he wanted to come back to Kansas City.
yeah,
I'm not sure which individual it was that tweeted that out, but if I were a betting man, I would say that they may have a relationship with Mike Caliendo's representation, potentially.
yeah, his agent.
Even if it's not a major one, maybe it's a
right.
little one.
I mean, if you have a good enough agent, you can definitely spin Mike Caliendo to get a above vet vet deal.
I read it on the internet.
Yo,
So if it's on the internet, it has to be true,
guys,
right?
we
gotta
know
be
if
true,
you have a
right?
good agent, you can spin
Yeah.
anything. Do you guys remember how much heat Matt Nagy had during this head coaching cycle, and now he's
Oh,
the
yeah.
offensive coordinator of the Giants, I think.
Got to spin that thing.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
agents are
Sometimes it
good.
hits.
Agents
Sometimes
are
it doesn't
good.
hit. Yeah.
Also, you can also usually tell when one of the big insiders gets a here copy and paste what I told you to say source type tweet. So there's those out there too. I'm not saying that everybody that does that says stuff like that, and it's not necessarily true. But though, whenever I hear
Most
stuff
of the
like
time,
that
yeah.
with a guy who took the vet men on a roster, he's not supremely likely to make. That just smells odd to me. I would just be like, yeah, okay, we'll see. Maybe you do get and maybe he comes in and has a great preseason.
Maybe.
But there's a bunch of guys that actually but the other two do show up, and hey, you can get a pick out of him or something like a 7th or something.
Yeah, maybe you
Or
trade
a
him
player
for
swap.
trade him for
You know,
corner
for like Charvarius Ward
Yeah.
or something.
We were
Who
just
knows?
talking about that. Yeah, the Parker Anger to Charvarius Ward trade. Yeah,
He's
you
a
could do
little
the same
older
thing
than
with
Parker
Caliendo.
Anger,
You
but
know?
man, somebody
That's
loses
your
a
trade
bunch
bait
of
right
offensive. A team loses multiple interior offensive linemen in preseason and camp, and like the Bengals or something. I mean,
Yeah, that's
when
what
would that
happened.
ever
That's
happen?
what happened last year with the tackles position. I was trying for anybody to trade for Wanye Morris, and they didn't. Ain't nobody wanted
Yeah.
Wanye.
Well, the problem is the team that would have needed to do that would have been the Chargers, and the Chiefs were like, "No, you can drown. It's fine. We'll let you."
I might have traded
We're
him.
not
I
trading.
might have.
I know
might have
you
traded
would
Wanye.
have given
And
him
said,
Wanye, 'cause we
"Oh,
know
Honestly,
you need a
we've
starting
talked
left
about
tackle."
Wanye on this podcast enough. I don't disagree with you all because of the conversation that has been had
Yeah.
around that man on the show.
Hey,
I
you
do
need a
still
starting
want to
left
point out
tackle,
we do have to
Chargers?
give him credit for trying to play hurt for like a year. But at the same
Nah.
time, yes, I
got
probably would have traded him.
I would have said, "Hey, you need a starting left tackle, Chargers. We got you. We'll hook you up with
here's
Wanye.
here's this guy
He's gonna
who
be good.
plays left tackle like a wet paper bag. Like, just
He's
put
gonna
him
be
out.
good. Instead it's a 4th-round pick. We're good. Yeah,
It would
that's-
never happen, but Patrick sends Justin Herbert a text message that just says, "Good luck."
Good luck. Good luck, buddy. Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Okay, last acquisition to talk about that is not a free agent signing, but it's a trade, a rare trade that you don't see.
I didn't see this one.
Nonetheless,
This was not on my bingo card.
yeah, this is probably the first time in a very long time that this has happened. The Chiefs have traded for a quarterback, Justin Fields from the Jets, sending them a 6th-round pick, a 2027 6th-round pick, or is it 2026?
27.
7.
27. Yeah, so a future 6th-round
Because
pick.
when the Chiefs can send them a future 6th-round pick,
You
the
just gotta
Chiefs
do it.
have to send
Yeah,
the
you
Jets a future
gotta do it.
6th-round pick.
Yeah.
They
So
just have
kind
to
of a-
do it.
Kind of an exciting acquisition, I suppose. Justin Fields, he's had a very up and down career, mostly down, I feel like, in his couple stops. But he's also been on some very bad stops, right? I mean, he got drafted by the Bears. He had Matt Nagy as his head coach for many years, and as we know,
As a lame duck. Let's not
Yeah.
get it twisted. Matt Nagy had no. Justin Fields could have gone They could have gone 12-4 with him that first year, and they would have fired Matt Nagy. I don't think it mattered what they did with it. But
and
yes,
they didn't have
he had Matt Nagy for like 10 minutes,
that great of luck afterwards.
and by that point, he wasn't
who was
calling
their
plays.
coach after that? I don't even remember. Who was their coach after?
Matt Eberflus,
Right,
if I'm
yeah.
not mistaken.
You're right. That's also not good. So it didn't have very good luck with the Bears.
That's also not. He's had
Um,
4 coaches in 4 years, guys.
Yeah, he went to the Steelers for a
And
year.
four-
where
and
he-
four
he was-
teams.
He was like a co-quarterback
3
with Russell
teams.
Wilson on the Steelers, so that didn't work out too well. And then he was on the Jets, and that's literally the bottom of the bottom where you can go. And there was the Jets were so bad last year they fired like their whole coaching staff besides Aaron Glenn, so that tells you kind of how that was going. But it's a backup quarterback. He's a backup. Yeah, he's gonna be your backup, right? And I don't think. There's a lot of speculation. It's like, oh, was this because Pat isn't going to be ready? Pat's going to be ready. Let's not get it twisted. Pat's going to be ready. This is just adding a quality backup, I think, that you can, maybe improve upon, maybe coach him up a little bit, and maybe get a comp pick for him next year or something along those lines.
Sneak again for the first time in 6 years.
Yeah, that's true. You can add the quarterback sneak in. You can maybe give him some packages where he's doing some. I mean, he's super athletic quarterback, right? Like at Ohio State, he was insanely athletic. The Chiefs tweeted it out today. He's one of 3 quarterbacks who has 1,000 yards rushing in a season, which is kind of crazy. I didn't even realize that was a stat.
He's an incredibly gifted and athletic dude. It's just like he's never been in or even on a good team with a good surrounding cast and a serious offensive minded coach. He had Matt Nagy, but where Matt Nagy falls on that serious offensive coach list, I'm still not quite sure. But then he's with a defensive coach in Tomlin, and then he's with the Jets for a year with the Aaron Glenn experiment, and that whole thing went tits up in a dumpster fire. It was bad. So I mean, he's never been in a great situation and really surrounded with a lot of talent or really given the opportunity to learn and develop, which I think is probably why he wanted to come to Kansas City, like he can actually sit down and learn something now from Pat and Andy and Bieniemy and be in a solid situation to where he's not going to have to go out there and try to carry the team on his shoulders and legs and run around like a chicken with his head cut off trying to make something happen because there's nothing else to do. Like he's going to have an opportunity to learn and grow and develop, which I think is going to be huge for him. And the fact that, he's crazy athletic. Like he's what, 6'3", 230 pounds. Like he runs like a 4.44, whatever it was in his combine. Like
Yeah.
he can run and he's got a strong arm. He's not overly accurate and that's never been his game. But I mean, it's an exciting little I did not see this happening, but it's intriguing. Um, it'll be interesting to see how it develops and where it goes. But I like it. A young athletic quarterback to back up Pat, and we all hope Pat is ready week 1. And if he's not, we'll see what Mr. Fields can do with a start or two early in the year.
Yeah, it'll at least make preseason more fun to watch, right, Kyle? I mean, because he'll probably get the majority of the reps in preseason, and then that's see what kind of fun
sure.
packages that
For
they
sure.
they potentially roll out. And honestly, like
Well-
Randy said, I mean, if he has to start early in the season, or even God forbid, Pat misses a game or two during the season, like I think you can get by with Justin Fields and Kenneth Walker just running the ball 45 times a game essentially, throwing 10 passes with them and just getting by with that combo. So. What do you think, Kyle? I thought Kyle was going to start talking again.
I think it's. Well, I was, but you were talking, so I was waiting.
You're right. Sorry.
So
I did start talking again.
I think some of it has to do with you need a competent quarterback to run the off season, and for whatever Fields has or hasn't been, he's at least been competent, and I say that in a way of more so than any of the other guys on this Chiefs roster at the quarterback position currently. I believe the other options are Chris Oladokun and Jake Hayner. Is that right?
Yeah, Jake Hayner's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'm not pinning a lot of
so
hope on either of those dudes. Like we all
Yeah.
saw what Oladokun could do last year, and it wasn't much. So
Even Gardner, I mean, wasn't that impressive, right? And I mean, his half start of a game, he wasn't it wasn't the greatest, but this is an upgrade, I suppose, right, Kyle? It is an upgrade. Probably the biggest upgrade, probably the best. Maybe not the best backup quarterback, but as far as talent, maybe that we've had.
he's by far the most talented backup we've had on our roster.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've been really trying to find.
You could argue Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz was toast by that point.
Yeah. At least Justin's not like completely injured and stuff. Like he's still pretty
I
good.
I still got to go out and get me a Carson Wentz jersey. Anytime I get an NDSU guy that plays for my Chiefs, I got to go get a jersey.
That'd be crazy.
Well, they're at TJ Maxx or your local Ross Dress for Less or whatever.
You find one in a store out there on the cheap for me. Let me know. I'll send you some money.
If I find one of those up here, something went wrong again.
You're wrong.
So the other thing of this is it's cheap. The Jets are retaining $7 million. You give up a future. What is the value of a future 7th round pick or this year's 7th? I guess. Basically, the way it works is when you trade for a year out, it like devalues it by a round. So on the value charts, pretty much is how that works out. So like a future 3rd is really a 4th on the value charts, that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. Also, I would direct everyone's attention to the available quarterbacks in this market. Kirk Cousins. Are you paying Kirk Cousins to be the backup? No, you're not.
Well, if Atlanta's
Aaron
paying most of the
Rodgers
salary.
is not gonna is. It doesn't matter. You're still not paying him to be a backup. And
No.
I don't think Atlanta's paying most of his salary. They released him. So it's not a full salary available deal. He's still going to want to get paid somewhat.
Well, it's
Also,
kinda
I
like how
think Kirk
Tua-
probably wants to start.
because like Tua got released, and so that Miami's paying most of his, so he signed with a vet minimum with the Falcons. So I mean, I think
I
that's
know.
there are some
Tyler.
options out there.
I know, but I think Kirk has more pride than that because Kirk is far more established than Tua Tagovailoa is as far as competent quarterback play in the NFL is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, even Russ was doing that, and
I'm not even trying to take shots at Tua, but like
but,
Russ
yeah.
is. Well, that's because Russ stinks. Also, speaking of Russ is on this list. If
He's on
anybody
that
wanted,
list, yeah,
remember
I
when
saw
that
some people
rumor
mocking
hit Chiefs
him.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this
people wanted to see
Yeah,
that.
that was a fun Chiefs Facebook moment.
Yeah. And this really made me smile too, to shut
That's
down
the
weird trade rumors about us trading for Anthony Richardson too. I was like, what the hell? Like, come on.
That was another thing floated out there. Yeah, I think Louis Riddick said something about that. He said either something about Anthony Richardson or just trading for a quarterback in general.
Not terribly different than Justin Fields, just less.
I'd still take
less
Justin
chances
Fields.
already.
Yeah,
He's had less. I would too. I think he's
Yeah.
more developed, and I think he's a better passer. Granted, Anthony Richardson is just has a rocket launcher that is much more like an artillery battery than a precision weapon.
he does have a. He does
It
have
just
a
kind of
cannon.
goes up in the air, and then whoever
Yeah.
gets to it gets to it. It's a neat trick. But here's the thing. So I mentioned those guys. You're not really going to sign any of those guys. Can I interest you in a Zach Wilson? No?
No.
How about a Tyrod Taylor? Also no?
Maybe.
Joe Flacco is out there. He might be the starting quarterback in Cleveland again. Who knows?
Yeah, he might start. Yeah.
Cooper Rush, ladies and gentlemen. Cooper Rush. No? Okay. Hey, Jimmy Garoppolo? Jimmy G?
No.
No?
It's kind of ironic.
Okay.
But,
Carson Wentz, ladies and gentlemen. Carson Wentz.
Isn't Jameis a free agent?
And I floated that one out to Tom the other day. I was
I
like,
don't think so.
Jameis, I think.
I
is
don't think
available. I
Jameis
was
is a
like,
free
what?
agent.
I would have traded for him. I
Is
would
he
have traded for
still
Jameis just so we
actually
can
on
have
the roster
the memes.
with the Giants?
He might be, yeah. I would have traded the future
He's
six.
not
for him
showing
just for
up
the
on
memes.
Spot Track's
Okay, he must
available
still be on the
quarterbacks.
Giants roster then, but
I don't know how many year deal that was that he signed.
Yeah,
Or
this
he
could have
signed
been.
one before that. But anyway, so you guys didn't let me finish. Carson Wentz is available. So is Brandon Allen, John Walford, Easton Stick, Brett Ripon, Skylar Thompson, Hendon Hooker, Will
Easton
Greer,
Stick's one of
and
my
Jeff
guys. I would have
Driscoll.
loved to see Easton Stick in a
Of
Chiefs
course,
uniform.
North Dakota guy, yeah.
Yeah, but
No. You notice how both North Dakota quarterbacks have no home right now? It's
hey,
weird.
you know what? Right now, if you actually
Trey Lance
went
is on a
back,
roster.
so Justin Herbert's rookie year, like if you actually went back and watched the preseason
Barely.
and you looked at their stats between Easton Stick and Herbert, like Stick outplayed Herbert every stretch of that preseason.
Easton Stick Truther. I didn't know that was a thing. Having an
Just saying.
Easton Stick Truther on
Most
on the
wins
show.
by a quarterback.
Are we talking? Wait, which year? Are we talking about the year where they stabbed their quarterback in the chest with a needle, or
Exactly.
his
that
other year?
That year,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
that year. Okay. That makes sense. So, anyways, after all that's being said, welcome Justin Fields to the team. My biggest concern with Justin Fields, what number is he going to wear? I don't know what number he's going to wear.
I don't care about that.
One
I do think
isn't available. 2 isn't available. 7 isn't available. They might give him 6 or 5.
I don't know. The biggest
That's
thing
my
about
biggest
him is
concern.
can he operate camp for everybody to operate camp at a nice level if Patrick isn't available to do so, and then can he go have a show out in the preseason, and then who knows, maybe then you trade him at some point over the year.
Yeah,
If somebody
maybe trade him, or
needs a
like I
quarterback
said,
desperately.
after the year, he might.
Or you get a
catch
comp
big enough
pick.
contract. You get a comp pick for him, yeah, and so that's what everyone always says the Chiefs to do, right? Oh, just trade for some.
He's also
or
a
just sign
younger guy.
Some reclamation project, and then
Well-
he can go trade him, flip him for a bigger pick. Maybe draft Shador Sanders in the second round, and then you can trade him for a first rounder next year. People said stuff like that.
No.
People be saying stuff like
But
that.
I
I'm
do
just letting you
think-
guys know.
I do think it's now transitioned from the point of we need an older veteran QB in the room because it's going to help Patrick, and it's going to help. Patrick is now the one helping It's now
we're
there
past
is no need for that for those other guys.
And we need
So now you
someone
can
so
go younger.
athletic that they can outcompetence the horrible scheme. You know, they can
Well,
just
now you
they can work with them more.
Well, but now you can go for the younger guys and maybe take some second chances and then try to flip them like Andy has flipped quarterbacks that have played like 9 snaps for him in the past when he was in Philly and whatnot, and end up getting them big contracts or getting trades for guys. Or I mean, he was the original QB guru that everybody now has associated to all these other coaches. That's Andy's cup of tea, remember? So I the young guys being in the stage now where you can potentially, get young guys. And again, I don't know. There's not another soul on that on that free agent list that you're paying $3 million to be your backup quarterback. Nobody, not one, because you're not going to pay any of the top 3 or 4 guys I mentioned that little, and you're not paying any of the rest of those guys more than $1.85 that you have to pay them or whatever it is for the minimum that is for that position, because oh my god, why would you? So he's better than most of those dudes, and you want him to be your backup and get you through camp. It's not a pick that you're super worried about. Like Garrett said, maybe you get a comp pick out of it and then it just washes the pick you traded for him.
They throw those late
He's
rounders
cheap.
away like it's nothing. I mean, we've traded him for Cam Thomas, and we've traded him. I mean, we've traded
Derek
a
Nottie.
6th-round pick for Derek Nottie. Yeah, exactly. Like Brett Veach does not care about those 6th and 7th-round pick. He'll trade them away for nothing, or for nobody's. So getting a guy who's actually can be a pretty competent backup quarterback for you. Maybe this is a good one. I think this is a good 6th-round pick trade. Not gonna lie. So welcome to
you can do weird stuff in the red zone with him.
Yeah. You can recreate that one meme where it's Mahomes
Put
handing
him on
it
the
off
field
to
at the same time.
to Lamar Jackson, where Lamar Jackson's playing running back for us, that infamous picture, but then just replace that with Fields. And it's like the same thing.
Put him on the field at the same time. He's not he's a big athletic dude too. He's not a little guy.
230 pounds. Like he's
Hopefully the QB sneak. Hopefully we can put him in the QB sneak. I would be down for that for sure. If we don't have the Kareem Hunt sneak or anything like that again, we'll
put him at tight end and motion him in to do the sneak if you want to do that, like you used to do with Blake Bell.
We should just turn him into Taysom Hill. What if we just turn him into Taysom Hill? What if we just did that? I'm sure he can catch. Run some
because that worked out so well for Sean Payton.
Taysom Hill had a decently productive career. Still is. I think he's still out
while
there
the
doing
team
it.
around him was burning to the ground.
Oh yeah,
yes, he was.
Yeah, and he would just randomly get starts at quarterback, and it would just be the worst thing ever. And then the next week he'd get like 10 snaps.
And then remember, Sean
like,
Payton was wanted to try to pay him as a quarterback on his contract. Remember when they tried that?
They've hit it multiple times, pretty decently. Jesus. Yeah, pretty crazy. So. Okay, that's about it for acquisitions. I think we're at 47-ish, 45 minutes. So this is a pretty decent episode. We want it to be a little bit shorter of an episode because there's not as many acquisitions. But we do have to touch on, we're going to touch on a little bit of draft stuff here at the end. With the state of the roster now and the Chiefs having 4 picks in the top 75 with having picks 9, 29, 40, and 74. Where are we kind of looking, Randy? I'll start with you. Where are we kind of looking, especially for round 1? Still need edge rusher. I think you can still add corner and secondary help. If there's an intriguing enough linebacker, I suppose wide receiver, I think you can still add to. There's still a lot of opportunity. Tight end, you can still add a little bit. Where are you kind of leaning right now with how the team looks?
It's one of those things where it's like it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how those top 8 picks kind of pan out. So when we're sitting there at 9, like I'm past the conversations of people saying we should trade 74 up to move up to number 6 because some people have this weird obsession with Bailey that I don't understand, but. At 9, the opportunity to go best player available, where potentially there could be guys like Bain, and a lot of people, including Garrett, are Mekhi Lemon guys. I'm still not there. Yeah. Downs could be there. Tate could be there. Tyson could be there. and with all those dudes being available, like maybe
Also
Styles
known as
flips to
high school.
9. It's like there are going to be plenty of opportunities for really good football players to fill a spot that we need, sitting pat at 9 and not having to move. Um, I mean, so that those first 8 picks are going to be interesting. 9 is going to be kind of a crapshoot because we could really go in any which direction. I think 29 is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting, to where you're going to be in that the top end of that second tier of edge players, where Mesidor and TJ Parker are going to be available. You're going to have some of those really good individual or interior defensive linemen like Banks and Hunter, and maybe even Woods could slip potentially to 29. I don't see that happening, but then you got some of the top corners are going to be available at that spot too. So all positions of need, all spots in this draft that are pretty deep in some spots too. So some of my favorite combinations, I do way too many mock drafts during the day for my own good, but I really, really, really like TJ Parker in that 29 spot. I think he is a solid, complete edge player. Maybe not as flashy as some of those other guys, but he plays the run and he's a great pass rusher as well. His long arm is probably better than anybody in this draft. If you watch some of his highlights, like that move is nasty. So those having 2 first-round picks is going to be kind of fun again. We haven't had that since 22, and we did pretty good with those with McDuffie and Karlaftis. So we have an opportunity to bolster the roster there in a couple of key spots, and then 40 could be super fun too. Like there's some of those big interior defensive linemen could slip a little bit farther, or now we're maybe talking about some of these wide receivers that really started to shoot up the board, like a Bryce Lance. The kid who tore his ACL from Louisville, whose name is escaping me, at Bell, maybe, I think.
Chris Bell,
yeah.
I think.
It's at 6'2", 225 pounds, coming off a knee injury. Like he's a really good football player, but he's going to slip a little bit because of that injury. Then you're talking some corners again, like Keontae Scott, D'Angelo Pons. We've talked about those guys in the past too, to help shore up that slot spot, but. I mean, it's going to be an exciting draft because the roster needs to be reloaded a little bit, and there's going to be dudes available to where we're drafting, and it's going to be fun.
It will be fun. Kyle, what are your thoughts on the strategy we should maybe employ for these first couple picks?
Well, as it sits right now, you have no answers at edge at all.
Yeah,
You have no. I mean, it is George Karlaftis, and then
Gelati and FAU.
I guess Gelati,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I mean, he was
FAU.
fine. Don't get me wrong, but he's gonna have if Gelati is you can't have those two be your, well, they're just gonna get better and that's gonna solve it. No, there has to be different answers there. And so as it currently sits, they have to do something at edge early in this draft. You have to find a difference maker. You may have to take a couple of them early in this draft, whether it's at 9 and 40 or 9 and 70, whatever it is. You may have to take a couple, and they may have to play a lot more than you'd like them to right away, because if you go look at the free agent edge class, I thought the quarterback list was bare. An edge class is not much better, and I mean the names are prettier. You'll know more of their names, but that doesn't necessarily make it a good thing.
Yeah. Cam Jordan.
So like Cam Jordan's probably like legitimate. No,
but Cam Jordan
is probably legitimately like one of the best options available, and he's like 38.
Yeah.
And so like, cause like they're Hassan.
That's kind of it. A lot of the other
there,
options went off the board pretty quick.
Joey Bosa is there. Like, no, guys, no, those are no, thank you, no, we're good. So that's one position they absolutely have to address. I also think you have to address wide receiver early. Please no on Jordan Tyson. I I would rather draft Lemon than Tyson. I do not trust that kid's injury history, and his ability to hold up at the next level based on some of those issues in college. Um, I they've got to address. You've got at least edge and at least wide receiver. You have to take in two of these first four picks. I don't think it's any question about it. And then, yeah, I would say probably look for a linebacker. I think it is interesting to see if Sonny Styles does end up available, and you look around and, like, say everybody's gone. Say everybody's gone. Say Bain's gone and Bailey's gone and Lemon's gone and
No, not Lemon.
everybody is gone.
Not
And
Lemon.
you're sitting there, and it's like Sonny Styles, and then like Caleb Downs, and then
I think I'm picking Downs in that situation. But
I don't think you can. I don't think you can at this point.
I
I don't.
think the safety. I think the safety class is a little bit deeper.
it is pretty
When it
deep.
comes
Yeah,
to
that's true.
playmakers.
And they just paid Alohi Gilman,
Yep.
and they've got.
We got Hicks and Connor.
That's true. You make
But
valid
your
point.
linebacking core right now is both of them are basically on expired deals because I believe this is the last year of Nick Bolton having guaranteed money on his deal, and Drew Tranquil's
took a pay
on
cut.
a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got Cooper McDonald and
Brandon
Jeff Bassa,
George.
but you've
Jeff
no
Bassa,
playing
yeah.
experience for either of them really, and you have no security there. So that's a position you're going to have to look at, especially if you're not trying to pay Nick Bolton another $15 million a year, which I'm not. So
They
that's
probably will. They probably will.
that's something else to look at. And then, like I said, Drew Tranquil being gone does matter because he took a pay cut this year. You can't get less than basically where he's at now. I mean, I guess you could by like $1 million, but not a lot. So they've got that to look at for this year and going forward. And if a guy like Sonny Styles is there, I find it, and you're looking around and there's not a lot else there, and you like your secondary coaches a lot, which you seem to. I think you take the better player at a position you don't develop as well or have as much of in a depth perspective, and you take a guy because you can go BPA and you can take that guy there.
Yeah, no, it's probably valid for sure. Whatever we do at 9 is going to be very interesting. I think 29 is then where the more question marks, I guess you could say, could be. There's a lot of different options of corners and
If Bain's not available at 9, I think we wait till 29 to address the edge with like an Akeem Mesidor, a TJ Parker, a Zion.
See, I worry that those guys are even going to make it there though. Like I think I've seen a Key Mesidor go in top 15 in a lot of drafts.
He absolutely could, but I think
even
like,
TJ Parker, I find it hard to make him last 29. I feel like
Yeah.
honestly 29 would be a spot I could see the Chiefs maybe trying to trade up from more likely than 9, trying to get into that maybe 22, 23 range where you can maybe jump some of those edge needy teams and get a guy like Parker or something like that. But or even if Mesidor, I really like Akeem Mesidor. I don't know, he's a very underrated first rounder to me. And I feel like if he's even late teen striking distance, I almost might try to make a move to get up there for him because I think he's a guy that can contribute even more than a lot of these other edge rushers in the first round that can do it besides Bain, I'd say. But yeah, it kind of depends on what how it falls at 9. If they can secure Bain, that'd be huge. Otherwise, I think there's wide receivers that would be available there that would work. It's the problem is, I don't see any more big acquisitions for the Chiefs between now and the draft that will really change some of these holes. So they're gonna need a big hit at each of the like 3 or 4 positions at least. Edge, wide receiver, secondary somehow, right? And then I think the D line still needs help. The linebackers, like Kyle said, you can definitely use some investment there. So there's still a lot. There's still a lot to think about with how that'll go and where guys will end up falling. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to wait around too long at 29 and not have as many great options there. So if I were the Chiefs, I would trade up. I think one of the two picks. I don't even think it's that crazy to try to trade up from 9. I don't know how you. I don't even think it's that crazy to try to trade up from 9 to get up to like 6 or 5, jump some guys and get a guy like. I would only do it for Bane. I should say I would only do it for Ruben Bane, and I don't think it'd be too.
I'm
Too
really hoping the
astronomically
Jets
pricey.
do. I'm really hoping the Jets do a purely Jets thing and take Bailey at 2, and just so I don't have to hear and even think about
Hopefully, everyone just decides, you
it.
know what, Bane's arms are too small. Yeah, we can't draft him top 10, and then
Yeah.
we'll draft him top 10. I think that's the most likely outcome that results in success. Last thing I think we need to address. We need to address the elephant in the room of the Chiefs picking a tackle at 9. That's been the big thing. Everyone's been saying it. There's been mock drafts coming out of either guy, right? Like the Utah guy, Caleb Famfo. I don't know his name honestly.
Spencer
I,
Fanu.
Spencer
Yeah.
Fanu, yeah, and then who's the other top tackle? See, I don't even have enough brain power to commit my knowledge to what their names are because that's so astronomical that we would take a guy at 9.
I,
Um,
I mean,
what do you? How? Why would we do that? Why would we ever do that, Randy?
that's where I'm at, because I'm just like, you got Fano, and you have Myoga, and
Now that's the other one. Yeah.
the Freening kid from Ohio State, who seems to have been or Georgia, to keep rocketing up draft boards recently. But I mean, you look at our roster, and there are just more pressing needs. You guys know I'm an O-line coach. I love O-line play, and I think the right tackle battle between Moore and Pole, I think, is going to result in a more than competent player at that position. I think both of those dudes can absolutely come in and start and play well at right tackle and solidify that line. And the guy who doesn't win the starting job is going to be a great swing tackle that can play on both sides. So I think between those two, and then you got to sprinkle in the potential dark horses of Matt Waletzko and Ethan Driscoll that are still on the roster, that are decent bodies, could potentially still be practice squad guys. Like, we have some offensive linemen at that position that could come in and play. But I think Moore and Pole whoever wins that battle in camp is going to be a solid player. So I really do think this tackle talk at 9 is just nonsense to me, in my opinion. I honestly do not see a case to where this actually happens. Could it happen? Absolutely. Crazy shit happens all the time, especially in the draft. Somebody gets picked in a spot you never thought happened. No one saw the Falcons picking Michael Penix a couple years ago where they did. Shit happens. I get it.
Yeah, that's dumb teams doing that.
Exactly.
I feel like we're a little bit smarter than that.
I honestly do not see it happening. I think those two dudes, they're going to battle it out. The winner's going to play fine. We're going to have a solid O-line next year. And we have much more pressing needs and much better players at those positions that we need at 9 than a tackle. Now, I'm not saying that we couldn't go later in the draft, rounds 5, 6, whatever, and pick up a guy that could potentially come in and fight for a backup spot, like Cage Casey out of Boise State, or even like Josh Farmer, the guard / tackle out of Kentucky, who I actually do really like. Those guys are potential options later in the round to come in and have a little battle in camp and play for some backup spots, but I don't see it quality draft picks on a tackle.
Yeah, at 9 though,
So
even the worst situation, Kyle, I don't think I could ever see it. Even the worst nightmare of the first 8 picks, I don't know if I see it.
there's a couple of things here. One, it's lying season
Yeah.
in the NFL. Two, Randy, you mentioned the later in the draft. I almost think they would be insane not to get either a tackle or a guard tackle combo type guy later in the draft. You always need to draft an extra offensive lineman or two just to keep the talent pool churning. But and I know, I love Daniel Jeremiah. He does awesome draft work. He's well connected. I just struggle when your blurb on the guy is they could take him to play right tackle, and he could even slide to guard maybe later. What? At 9?
Yeah, that was really what
At
confused me with
9.
Dan Jeremiah's like what, because like
That's the analysis?
yeah, I can understand like some of the insiders, right, who might float that to try to like generate the,
Well,
generate
but
line
he
season
hears
and
all this
all
stuff
that.
too.
I mean, I guess, but like I feel like he's more of like he's actually analyzing these rosters and determining
Well, I
that
know,
that's
and he's
somehow our
connected too, though.
biggest need is a tackle. I don't know. That's why I'm like, what?
So
The
like I
smoke
said,
is
some of
too
this I think is
too
smoke
real.
screens this season. Some of this is, I mean they obviously always are looking to improve the offensive line, but at the same time, if you're gonna draft a guy to be like if you're taking a tackle at 9 in this class, it's because he's by far and away the best player on the board, and he's going to play for you immediately.
There's not even that guy, right? There's not even a consensus top tackle in this class. Like
So
if Joe Alt was sitting
so
there
I
at
just
9, maybe, like he was
that's a different ball game
the top
entirely.
guy in the class, right? Like there's always a top guy. There's not even a top guy in this class that you'd be like, oh, you could be, like it's all debate.
Exactly. So and maybe that, and here's the other thing this smokescreen could be there for is to make a team that is looking for a tackle try to trade either
Trade
up
up,
with them
yeah.
or up in front of them, and
That is
try to
true.
force
Yeah.
players down that they want to be able to be there. So it, like I
Ideally,
said,
the
it's
more
line
tackles that get
season.
drafted in front of them is good. The more tackles and
Better,
quarterbacks
the
drafted
better.
in the top 8, the better.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Ty Simpson's great.
somebody take Ty Simpson at
Yeah.
3 or 5 or 7. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe the Jets
There's all
have 2.
sorts of
Hey,
weirdness.
why
The
not?
Jets have 2. You maybe not. Just why not? That would
If they
be
still
the
got that
jetsiest
16-year-old
thing on earth.
grandson running the team, he might do it.
That would be the jetsiest thing on earth. Would be to bring Geno Smith back to then to quarterback to start over him immediately because the Jets just absolutely hate and want to torture Geno Smith for no reason. That'd be
Right.
cool. But yeah, I mean, so look. I just don't. As Randy said, they have way too many other holes if they want to turn around. If they want to be serious about even being a legitimate threat this year, they've got other stuff they got to address. That they've got to have guys that can start before then.
Yeah, like many
I just
people
don't think
have said,
it's
like
there.
you have 4 of your 5 offensive line spots like solid, like they're good. Like you can survive having average to above average 5th offensive line spot and be fine. If we had no one on the offensive line, it's different. But we have 4 of the 5 of them pretty locked up and good. Like we're good. We don't need you don't need to have a 5 out of 5 offensive line. Just we need playmakers. We need difference makers. We need guys that can really contribute a little more than elevating the right tackle spot from above average to good, or you know what I'm saying. It's not that much of an upgrade. So I don't know.
Exactly.
So hopefully it's all smoke screens and well, I mean, hey, if it's smoke screens and then people, I think a tackle need team should trade up in front of us. That's a great idea. That is a great idea. So. Okay, I think that's everything that we've got for you tonight. It was a good episode. We appreciate everyone for tuning in on this one. We got a lot more draft content coming up now. Maybe a little more free agency stuff. If the Chiefs decide to make any other moves, we'll obviously talk about it. But mostly it's going to be draft from here on out. With these pro days finishing up, and hopefully we can get some more time to kind of sit down and watch some of these prospects and really get a feel for what the Chiefs are looking for this year. So we've got some time. We're going to have a lot of episodes dedicated to guys and talking prospects and whatnot. So you're not going to miss out on anything. We're going to cover them all. Probably not all like 500 or 400 that get drafted or are eligible. We're to cover a good amount for sure. We're going to cover a good amount. So with that, that's everything we've got for you tonight. Be sure to follow us at Kingdom Says Pod, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Check us out over at our YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts at. We will be on there. And yeah, that's all. That's everything. Have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, whenever you're listening to us. And we will see you guys on the next episode of The Kingdom Says.